I'm Anderson.
And I'm Cooper, and welcome to today's talk on plea bargaining.
And the Peter Whitmore case.
Andy Coop's in the house!
What is plea bargaining?
Plea bargaining is an arrangement between a prosecution and a defendant, whereby the defendant pleads guilty to their offenses in order to obtain a lesser charge or leniency in their sentence. As criminal courts become more crowded, prosecutors and judges feel increased pressure to move cases quickly through the system. Trials can take days, weeks, or even months to go through, but a plea bargain can be arranged in minutes.
Also, the outcome of any given trial is usually unpredictable, whereas a plea bargain provides both prosecution and defense with some control over the result.
For the defendant, the most significant benefit to plea bargaining is to take away the uncertainty from the trial and to avoid the maximum sentence. Because of this, more than 90% of criminal cases end in pleas. That means that less than 10% of criminal cases actually end up on trial. There are three types of plea bargains: sentence bargains, charge bargains, and fact bargains.
Sentence bargain is when you get a lesser sentence. Charge bargain is when you get a lesser charge.
And a fact bargain is when you bring up certain facts to have other facts omitted from the trial.
Issues with plea bargaining. Plea bargaining jeopardizes the constitutional rights of a defendant who may be pressured to admit guilt whether they are guilty or not.
Plea bargaining allows criminals to defeat justice by getting reduced sentences, thus diminishing the public's respect for the criminal justice process. Peter Whitmore was first convicted in 1993 for sexually abusing 5 young children. He was sentenced to go to jail for 16 months, but was released only 2/3 of the way into his serving time.
Only 9 days after he was released, he then was arrested for touching an 8-year-old girl.
This time he was sentenced to 56 months in prison and was released on December 4th, 1999. Right after he was released, he fled to Mexico. 2 days after returning to Canada, on July 30th, 2006, Whitmore kidnapped 2 more boys, one 14-year-old boy and one 10-year-old boy, identified now as Zach Miller. When the boys got to the haunted house, they were then abducted, blindfolded, and put into a van, and were driven to an abandoned farmhouse where Whitmore kept them for 2 days and proceeded to sexually assault them. During the boys' time in captivity, they were forced to watch child porn, forced to walk around naked, sometimes with dog leashes on their necks.
Threatened to get their skin cut off if they didn't listen.
And they were also forced to call him master.
After 2 days of a province-wide search, they finally found the boys at an abandoned farm, and Peter Whitmore was arrested.
On August 1st, 2006. At Whitmore's trial, he was granted a plea deal in which he would not be considered a dangerous offender. This would mean that he would be eligible for parole only 7 years after being convicted.
Whitmore took the deal and then became eligible for parole in 2013.
Psychological assessments from within the prison say that he is very likely to recommit more crimes and harm more children if he is ever released.
If it weren't for the plea bargain, he would never be given this opportunity.
This deal is controversial because it acts in favor of the offender rather than in favor of the victims.
The specific type of plea bargain is a sentence bargain, which means the defendant would get a lesser sentence.
Rather than being offered lesser sentences or charges, the defendants could be offered better living options, better health insurance in prison, and easier visitation rights. Another solution to make plea bargains more favorable would be to only apply them to summary conviction crimes. This would then diminish public outcry when certain convictions are considered unjust. Certain countries have completely abolished plea bargaining. Countries like Japan, Denmark, and Germany have all done this. So what do you think? Is plea bargaining in our justice system truly justice?
Anderson.
Cooper.
And we are out.
A certain outcome. Hopefully one that they can both live with.
We are out.
So the
Okay. Sorry, I had a boogie.
yeah, well, I was right.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I can't. I'm illiterate. He would never be given an opportunity.
We're starting again.
Given an opportunity to, you know the drill. Okay. Damn.
Nope.
Ew, that was an ugly ass. Only 9 days later, he was. I forgot my lines too.
Be like,
Only 9 days later. Word from your mama.
Okay. Cooper.
Anderson. Pom. Convicted. This.
He was let out only 2/3 of the way into his serving time.
We love that.
3 seconds.
Yes, I know, but no, it's no.